Hey family, welcome back to She Speaks podcast. I am your host, Amira, and today we have a special guest that's on the show today. Today we have DJ DC who will be joining us today. We'll be talking about in this episode, which is episode 4. You guys, I'm trying to stay consistent, okay? Today's episode 4, and today we'll be talking about critical race theory and the effects it has on our community. In Virginia, the governor has banned critical race theory teaching education in the school system. And today, me and DJ DC is going to have a little conversation talking about the effects it may have on our community, some possible resources that we can find as the people to kind of teach our kids our own history about politics, about economics, about social justice. Also, I want to first say I'm so happy to have DJ DC on this episode. I'm going to tell you a little bit about DJ DC. He is the #1 DJ in Virginia, okay? One of my favorite. Me and DJ DC kind of go back to party days when I was in the Cave, okay? If y'all know about the Cave in Virginia Beach, that was the spot, okay? So we go way back since then when he was DJing, I had my leg up, okay? He is a logistics investor. He is an upcoming real estate mogul. All right. He has made such an impact in our communities. He's on our radios on 103 Jams. So tune in to his shows. I think it's every day at, I don't want to lie, I'll let him tell you the details of what time he actually comes on the show on 103 Jams. But nonetheless, we'll not further the introduction. Let's welcome DJ DC to the show. Okay. All right, y'all. So today we're gonna talk about critical race theory. We have DJ DC here that's gonna.
What's up, y'all?
Yes. So I gave them a little introduction about you. I told them that you are the #1 DJ in the 757. Okay, one of my favorites. I told them about, how I used to go to the Cave back in the day. And you was on the 1 and 2 and I had my leg up. You remember those days?
Yep. Good time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I told them how, you in logistics, you were upcoming real estate mogul. Like, you out here really doing big things in the city. And so it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I've been doing my thing out here in the 757 for a while. So I appreciate you, let me on your platform.
I appreciate you for wanting to be on my platform. I appreciate that. Something else I wanted to say, I kind of forgot train of thought. I told you I'm a little nervous, but we're going to hop in anyway. We're just going to start. So have you heard anything about critical race theory? What's your thoughts on critical race theory? And, do you know anything about that theory on? Okay, so I'm going to fill you in. Okay. So critical race theory, I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's a theory that's pretty much philosophers are saying that. I'm going to read it off what I came up with. So it's an intellectual and social movement that organized the analysis of race as not being a natural or biological feature, but of features of physical and distinct groups of human beings. It is also a social construct used to oppress and exploit people of color. Theorists believe that racism is inherited in the law, is legal institutions of the United States as the means to create and maintain social, economic, and political inequalities between whites and African Americans or any person of color.
Okay.
So does that kind of sound like something you identify with? Or
yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody has witnessed some type of racism. Yeah. Whether it's with a job or even if it's like you're in high school, like you're in a cheering squad or something like that. And especially I don't know what school you went to. You went to Portsmouth School?
Yeah, I went to IC Northam.
Yeah, so you kind of did it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's a story black school, but like I went to Deep Creek and it's like mixed, you know what I'm saying? So and it's I would say that area. I mean, I wouldn't say it's two races, but they do have some racist ways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in certain aspects. I know I was kind of from my experience before I started even DJing, like I was racially profiled before, and luckily I don't have no disrespect to any Daquans are out there like that, but like when they like hire people, they know a Daquan is gonna be black when they come in for an interview and stuff like that. So as far as that, yeah, I have been. I mean, my name is Delwin, like you said, so you can't really tell if it's
yeah,
if
you're black
a
or
white coming in
not.
for an interview. Yeah. So but I definitely have seen and been a part of some racial profiling before.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that about the name thing, because my name is Amira. So one thing I'm dealing with right now at my job is that they hired me, right? My name is Amira. So I don't think they expected me to be black when they hired me. So I'm the only black girl at my job. I work with all Filipinos and a few white people or whatever. And so I found that to be interesting because every time I have a conversation with them, they're like, well, we didn't know that you were, we didn't expect you to be this way. And I was like, well, what did you expect? My name is Amira, so you thought I was a white girl that you was hiring, pretty much is what you're saying. So it's cool. It's crazy that you say that. And yes, I did go to Norcom, but I really didn't deal with too much racism because all I seen was people that look like me.
Exactly.
So it was like, it was kind of different. I mean, we had school cops that came in and stuff. I seen more of it outside of school than anything.
Yeah.
But even like I said, like even at my job, like I'm even dealing with certain things that's questionable or whatever. So that's interesting that you say that. So, I don't know if you know anything about what critical race theory and how it's affecting our public schools right now. Like, Youngkins is banning critical race theory education in public schools. And so I realized that a lot of the times we don't talk about African American history in schools. I didn't learn about African American history when I went to school. I mean, I learned government and the basic stuff, but we didn't really talk too much about African American history. Critical race theory is not African American history. It's a theory about how race affects the law, affects social justice, affects the economy, and how that is not balanced. It's not a balanced scale, and how it affects African Americans. And so, what is your thoughts about Youngkins banning the critical race theory education in schools? Do you think that how can I say this? Do you feel that it is beneficial, or do you think it's something that's maybe divisive in a way?
I think they're starting to kind of, well, I can't even confirm that, but I mean, I know there has been talks about, getting some Black history in the schools and stuff like that. I think it is needed, not just, I mean, because it's Black History Month. No, I mean, they want to give, I mean, they want to start doing this. Yeah, write a paragraph about Frederick Douglass or
the same
like
old
Black history.
people.
Yeah, the same people. There's other people to talk about. You know what I'm saying? They need and not just slavery, but there's a lot of people who created and broke records and stuff like that. But I definitely think that is needed in the schools. I think people, not even just schools, just period.
Yeah.
For example, I'm gonna give you an example. Like my parents were military, so we traveled a lot. And when I came here, everything was just foreign because I came from Texas, and in Texas, they have Texas history. Like you learn everything about like the Alamo and everything. Like it's like
in high school.
Yes, this is middle school.
Okay.
Yeah, this is middle school. Like we have Texas history. We have to learn about all the soldiers and the fights that happened in Texas and stuff like that with Mexico and all that stuff. So when I came here, everything was foreign because that's all I knew. I didn't know anything about the government. I didn't know nothing else but Texas history. And if they can do Texas history in Texas, why can't we do? I mean,
Well, I didn't really learn about Virginia history till I got to college. And I didn't, we talk
Yeah,
about Jamestown and the Indians and Christopher Columbus, you know,
that
they don't go
that
in depth about the true history in Virginia,
and that's weird because everything started pretty much in
in
Virginia. You know
Virginia.
what I mean? And it
Yeah.
don't make sense. Like all that should be. They should know about everything about the slaves coming here, about all that. They're not gonna tell you that though. They're gonna say, yeah, the pilgrims came and
Yeah.
Turkeys and the Indians came and had turkey. Nah,
because some
they
of
ain't
the
gonna tell
first
you.
Black slaves were ported in Portsmouth.
Yeah, they're not gonna tell nobody that.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not gonna say that.
Yeah, and I think that one of the thoughts that I have, and let me know if you agree, because I think that when we have political leaders like Youngkin, he's a Republican, right? He's pretty much a guy. I don't know if you know too much about him, but he has a lot of interesting sponsors on his team, on his campaign. But majority of him, I think he's worth like $4 million or something like that.
Yeah.
But my thoughts was that how much of taxpayers have a say in his decisions, and how is that, majority of taxpayers, like in Virginia, how do they impact? And I should say that because, like a lot of Black people, and I'm not trying to say this in a bad way, but when you really think about the scale and you think about more Black people on welfare than you do white people, and how the effects of whites have more say because they pay taxes. So when you think about public schools and who are funding these public schools with their tax dollars, does that make sense?
Yeah, they're the ones who has to say so pretty much.
Yeah, and I just think that how that's what we're seeing, the manifestation of that, of they having that power of these taxpayers, majority white, who working these jobs, who are funding these public schools, so they have more say than these Black people who are on welfare, who kids go to public schools, but they're not contributing to the funding because they're on welfare. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I realized that when I was looking it up on the New York Post, I was like, that's interesting because you make an executive order to ban critical race theory, which is not even a divisive, I feel. I think it's more so just exposing kids, especially Black kids, to the real world. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't teach them. We want them to believe like, oh, race is not a thing, which I was taught race is not a thing. It's just it's a theory, but we have created it a thing, but it's a real thing when you think about the reality of it. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get you.
So what is your thoughts on Youngkin's and his decision? Like, do you feel like we should continue to try to teach our own children?
Definitely, because like I said, they won't even teach Black history, so we got to do it ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We gotta be the educators. Sometimes we can't just send them off to school and expect them to know every damn thing.
Right.
Excuse my language, but we have to teach them, especially around this time. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah, I feel you. I'm a firm believer. I don't have any kids yet. Are you a father?
Yes.
Yes, I don't have any kids yet, but I'm a firm believer of like homeschool. Like, I feel like I don't want my kids to be taught in public schools because you don't really. I'm a teacher, I taught a little bit in different new schools, and parents don't really. He's trying to allow parents to have more freedom about what's being taught in school, but as a teacher, you really don't. Once those doors close and you in behind those four walls, you don't know what's being said, what's being taught. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that parents should take more responsibility, and especially us as colored people, Black people, we should take more responsibility in teaching our kids about the social law, about economics, about politics.
Not even this real world stuff, like how to handle your money. You know what I mean? Like how to save money and stuff like that. They're not gonna teach you that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just little stuff like that. They're not gonna teach you how to guide. They're not gonna teach them how to change a tire, or it's this real world stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not gonna teach you everything. You know what I mean? And most of the stuff, I mean, I don't know, disrespect to anybody who went to college, like they're not gonna teach you. There's nothing school can teach you that I can't teach myself, my opinion. and I can't teach somebody else. You know what I mean? For example, like I'm a hands-on learner. You know what I'm saying? I like doing things hands-on, then I'll learn that way. But like as far as like, somebody telling me about it or reading up on it or just give me a paper and tell me, figure this math quick. I mean, stuff like this. I don't know. It's everybody learns their own way to me, but that's how I learn. And yeah, I don't know. That's my opinion. But I definitely would do homeschool and teach things that are not taught or taught in school.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we're talking about school and we talk about, public schools. So, I'm on a topic about Youngkins because, I'm not a fan personally about some of the changes and the things that he's doing. But even with the ending of the school mask mandates, he put in an executive order about reaffirming the right of parents in the upbringing, education, and care of their children. Giving more power to the parents on deciding if they wear masks inside the public schools.
Yeah.
But also requiring the teachers to wear masks. So do you think that's effective when you have children that's not wearing masks, kids that is wearing masks, and teachers that's required to wear masks? And some kids aren't even vaccinated. So
I don't know, man. This whole COVID thing is just all iffy to me, man. I know people are caught it. It's coming from the schools. Kids got it. I mean, I don't know. If a teacher wears a mask, I think do the teachers have to be vaccinated to work?
No, it's not required, but they're recommending.
I don't know, man. The whole COVID thing feel like a big old feel like a big old scam to me. I mean, I know people are getting sick. I know people are getting sick out here. You know what I mean? But like, I don't know. It's just how everything just stopped rapidly. Like the football is officially back. Like they're back to normal. The NBA is back to normal. Everything just all of a sudden boom, and all the mandates drop.
Yeah.
But it's a new strain though, right? But everything just stopped.
Right.
Even and nobody knows what it is. Nobody can say exactly.
Always changing.
Yeah, so that's why I think it's like a big. I'm like, y'all don't. Nobody knows what it is. The gig is up. I'm not living in fear no more. I'm going out and having enjoying my life. Yeah. But as far as the teachers and stuff, it's different when you're dealing with kids because kids are nasty. You know what I'm saying? So I think if they keep up the I think teachers can wear them if they want to.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be mandated, but if you feel like you can't be in there and you have like some type, because I think COVID kind of really affected people with like weak immune systems or they got some type of problem, breathing problem, stuff like that. No, man, and that happens.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's all on the teacher, man. I wouldn't. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, cause them kids ain't wearing no masks. I be at work and them kids be right in each other's face, mask down, talking, eating what you call them? Tico, take those little
talkies, them hot
chips. Yeah, smacking each other's face like it's like New Dane at this point. And I understand, but I think that if you're gonna cut the mask out, you need to cut it out for everybody because it caused too much confusion between students, between the parents, the teachers, even the school boards are having a hard time kind of trying to find a medium to everybody's wants and needs at this time. Mm-hmm. And I think that Yonkers is not doing a great job with trying to, look at him. Yonkers is not doing a great job with, being equitable in his approach to making sure, especially the teachers, because a lot of teachers are really walking away from their jobs at this point. And who's going to teach our kids? I mean, of course, it's us, right? We need to take responsibility. Parents need to take responsibility in teaching your kids. They should be the number one teachers, period. But also I feel that the teachers who want to stay, who enjoy their jobs, did we lose him? I think we lost him. Let's see if he comes back. Oh, you made it back.
I'm back. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't even know what I was saying. I think I was saying like teachers losing their jobs. I'm not losing my walking
Yeah. Teachers are walking out their jobs and stuff like that and leaving because of the mandates and stuff. They don't want to get sick and they feel like it's. I don't understand.
There's no
mean,
support.
it's none at all. I mean, they ain't. I mean, they just want y'all to. It's crazy. I mean, I don't know what else do they want. What else do you want?
Yeah.
I mean, what else? You're a teacher, right? What do you think you want? What do you want?
What
do you want them to do?
I want them to be consistent with what's going on. If you're gonna do no math, do no math. If you're gonna just be consistent, because it's forever changing. It's always a new thing. I personally don't mind wearing a mask. You know, I don't mind wearing a mask because for me, I mean, like you said, kids are nasty. So for me, that just keeps me having kids breathe out in my face. You know what I'm saying? So I'm okay with the mask. As far as kids wearing a mask, I personally don't have really a say because I don't have any children, you know? So, you know, it just all depends on each family and what they want. But as a teacher, I don't personally care about wearing a mask. I prefer to actually wear a mask. You know, and also, you know, people don't see your facial expressions. You know, when somebody comes in your classroom, you're looking at them, they don't really see how you're looking at them. You know, you be sad and them like, what you doing in here? But I personally, you know, just feel like I don't care. You know, I care more about just being consistent and stop just making up things because you can. You know what I'm saying? And kind of move off.
They're making up things to make it seem like they're doing something.
Yeah.
It's really like, okay, where this come from?
But what I find interesting is that the different school districts who making different choices, like Portsmouth, Newport News, Norfolk, Chesapeake, they all got their own.
Yeah, they're yeah, it's nobody's together with this.
Yeah, and I think
they are their own.
Yeah, so I think
especially Virginia Beach. Virginia Beach is the first one to. I already know they think they better than everybody. I know that.
Why you say that?
I mean, you can tell just the way. I mean, they from the mask mandates, they were the first people to move. I mean, to say, yeah, we're not doing this, and even when not even just the school. I mean, even with like the light rail situation and stuff like that, Virginia Beach, they don't want. I mean, it's nothing to do with the school, but like just whole Virginia Beach period. Like I don't know the people.
And you know, Virginia Beach definitely ain't teaching no critical race theory.
Of course not. Of course not. They're on their own different.
Yeah, they're on their own wave or whatever. And you know, I kind of respect Pharrell when he pulled out of the his concert.
Something in the Water Fest. Yeah,
I respect that a lot. I mean, I think that I mean we need it because I mean we need something around here, some social something to keep the money revenue flowing. But I respect his decision. He's standing on what he believes. So, you know, I think that's cool. But we did talk about a little about teaching our kids and you know, having taken responsibility about what we teach our kids. So how do you think, and we just want to move on to like generational curses, like how that affects like what we teach our kids, how that affects them in the long run, what we teach and what we don't teach, and how that can affect the decisions that they make in the long run as they become older. Like for me, like you said, you grew up in Deep Creek, I grew up in Portsmouth. So, you know, you probably see a bit more racism than I did, but I was more so I experienced it outside of school, like in the neighborhoods and stuff. So for me, when I became an adult, I wasn't socialized around white people. I felt uncomfortable around white people. And I realized looking back, like my family and how we grew up in the country. Like we grew up in the backwoods of Chesapeake. It was just like only my family. We had like no outsiders. It was just us in like a big neighborhood. Kind of sounds weird, but so we wasn't really socialized with outside people. We was so like we just only knew our family. So once I became an adult, I was so afraid of white people. Like I didn't know how to talk to them. I didn't feel comfortable being around them. You know, I was always told stories about how they were, you know, like they was racist, they was mean, don't talk to them, you know. And so that made me be a certain type of way around them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So now as I became more educated and became more independent in my own thinking, I just started when I started learning my own history, I started to be more comfortable about who I was. You know what I'm saying? And I look back at my mom and how she grew up, and she kind of grew up the same way I did, but it was worse for her. So she always felt less than. She never felt like she was enough because what she was taught as a child, the same things I was taught about white people, but she never really my mom never graduated from high school, so she didn't really educate herself about her history and how far I've came, you know, uh, compared to my mom. So do you feel that the way you grew up, like you say your dad was in the military, so you was pretty much exposed to a whole lot growing up. You was socialized a bit, right?
Yeah, we moved around a lot. I lived in Washington to Australia to California to Texas to Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Chicago. So I've been
Where were
around
you
all
born?
types. I was born in Oakland,
Oh,
California. Yeah,
I would have never known.
Yeah, I was born in Oakland. I was there for like a couple of years, but yeah, like just moving around a lot, seeing different things, talking to different people, seeing different stuff. Yeah, it's different everywhere. I mean, it's just like traveling. Like, there's a lot of stuff to see out here in this world, man. I would definitely get somebody to, if you never been out of Portsmouth. There's a lot of people who's never been out of Portsmouth and stuff like that. They need to get out and see different things, and because there's a lot out here. I've seen a lot.
Yeah, and when we talk about generational curses, I don't think that's always a bad thing. Do you?
No.
Yeah, because I think there's also, as you get traumatized, there's also also good things that happen in your bloodline. All right, and do you feel like with your exposure, the choices that your parents made for themselves, like your dad went to the military, I don't know too much about your mom, but they made good choices for themselves so that you can have the better future in the life that you wanted to live?
Yeah, my pops is a hustler. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That's where I get my hustling from. My mom was a hustler.
You was a hustler for sure.
Yeah, my mom's a hustler. Watch out. My mom's a hustler. My pops is a hustler. And that's in my bloodline. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So just seeing them hustle, I mean, kind of, I guess, brought it on me.
Yeah.
To get some multiple sources of income coming in.
Yeah.
But as far as generational curses, I mean, it's each his own. It's up to you to break the curse. My pops, he broke his curse because everybody he came up with, you know what I'm saying, or either in jail or doing stuff they ain't supposed to do. And out of all his friends, I think he probably the best off one who broke the curses as far as the family and stuff like that. And people not going to school because I think he was the only one who went to school.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, curses are meant to be broke.
They are. I believe they are. And I think if you don't, then your kids gonna have to, and it was gonna keep going down the line until somebody make that choice to do something different. Yeah. So what are some generational curses that you are, some good ones that you are implementing for your children to have a better future?
None. I'm just showing them, I mean, the business stuff. And I mean, the work ethic I put in and stuff like that, and let him know he wants to play soccer and stuff like that. And so I'm showing him people
Do you know
working
how to play
out.
Soccer?
I don't. I didn't play soccer, but he's into it, so I'm into it. You know what I mean? So I'm just showing him like some of the, like Lionel Messi, he's like he's a soccer player, and Ronaldo, he's another soccer player. But I also show him what they're doing, I mean, to get better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that, like showing them practice and kicking the ball and playing and stuff like that, and let them know, like, hey, like, you really want to do this, like, you really want to play soccer, like, you got to practice, you want to be good.
Yeah.
I mean, if not, you want to be fast, you got to run.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you good at the video game, you know why? Because you do that every day.
Yeah.
Every
what
day.
What are some traumatic curses or some things that you struggle with, if you want to share, that you feel that you are working on to be better so that your kids won't have to struggle with it as they grow older?
Some things that I'm working on.
Like for me, I think I feel like, and this is relationships. Like the woman in my family choose some interesting men to marry, and it's like none of my aunts, none of the women in my family are married, right? And something that I pride myself in is choosing the right husband for my future kids to grow up in a healthy house with, no craziness going on. So that's something, and amongst other things, like me being the first to get a degree in my family, me the first to kind of like be the first of a lot of things that I've chosen to do in my life. But from the traumatic point, it's just choosing the right male figure to lead a family. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the things that I personally feel like is traumatic in my family, because, you might not know, but a lot of Black families deal with molestation and different things that kind of like trigger a lot of the young girls in the Black family. And so they grow up choosing the same type of men and carrying on that trauma. You know what I'm saying? So, what are some things you think that, and they don't have to be so, deep, but that you think that you can change? It could be financial things. It could be just, even down to things that you wish you would have done that you didn't do.
I don't know. I guess picking the right girl.
Yeah.
Picking the right girl. I mean,
But your mom and dad was married though, right?
Yeah, I had a good family. I mean, I had no molestation and nothing like that. I seen my mom. I ain't seen them get married though, but like, I mean, they were together.
Were they
I had a good upbringing. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't say anything that needs to be broke or anything that has happened with them that maybe I need to break. But it's just really within me, for real.
Are you the only child?
No, I got two brothers. I'm the middle child.
Oh, okay.
Boys.
All boys.
All boys.
Okay. My mom had all girls, all 7.
Yeah, all boys. It's all of us. We got a whole bunch of guy cousins and everything. But there are some cousins that are not doing good. Some cousins that made it to the football league, and now they're coaching now. I got cousins out here who moved out here from the situation they're in to get out of. They live in like most of my cousins live in Oklahoma City, which is really racist. I'm talking about like it's my pops told me stories like, and that's where they pushed the I guess the Indians. Well, out there, if you've been to Oklahoma City, there's a lot of casinos. Like,
yeah, I've heard.
Like the ones we trying to build, like there's some almost every corner. I'm like, dang, like y'all really got this many casinos? Y'all really think y'all need this many casinos out here? But you know why they're out there? All the Indians. Remember, they from Texas, they pushed them all out.
Yeah.
And then when they pushed them all up there, they started doing like building stuff, and then they were like, hold up, where y'all building stuff, making it look better than ours? So they kind of forced them out, and they took over that area. Like, it's a whole bunch of history and stuff. Like it's some crazy stuff.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, so that's another history they need to know. People need to know about. Because
I think just United States, just the U.S. have a lot of history alone. I mean, every state has its own things going on. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm from Virginia, so I can more identify with the things that goes on in Virginia and the history of Virginia because my lineage is here. You know what I'm saying? So I chuck that up too, to how my upbringing, the way that I think, you know what I'm saying? Like Virginia is a very institutionalized state. And I think that if you were born in Virginia and you grew up in Virginia, you have a very institutionalized mindset. You think a certain type of way. And so I had to learn to break out of that through my own self journey and, making better choices. Because my family didn't think that, not all, but, they think a certain type of way. And I'm the only, I feel like I'm the black sheep of my family. I'm the middle child. I kind of do things different than a lot of people. But, it's just been crazy when it comes to like thinking about generational curses and just me getting ahead in my own life and making better choices. And the power of my mind, just changing my mindset, right? Because what you think is what you believe and what you will manifest in your reality, right?
Yeah.
And so for you, you grew up in different areas, so you kind of are very diverse in your thinking. And it kind of shows in your life. You're doing big things. You have a huge personality. You are, a logistics investor. You're doing all these great things around here, right? And that can account to how you was brought up, what was taught to you, implemented to you as you grew up. Can you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I've seen it. I've seen them put in work. I've seen the results of it.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer. You put in work, it will manifest, and you will see your work.
And you had that foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? And so I wanted to get your thoughts on that, because, it sounds like we come from two totally different backgrounds. So I've always seen you around. You always kind of been around, but we never really sat and had a conversation. Right. So it's been kind of crazy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting. How old are you? You don't mind me asking?
30.
Oh, really? I thought you was older than that.
How old you think I was?
At least like 33, 34.
30.
No.
About to be 31 in July.
July. Oh, okay. Well, happy birthday if I don't talk to you. But so I ain't gonna keep you much longer. I know you got the baby and everything, but I really appreciate you joining me on this podcast, talking about your upbringing, the things that you got going on. Do you want to share with the podcast any new things you have coming on? I know you on 103 Jams. I don't Monday through Friday, Monday through Sunday. I don't know.
Monday through Friday. I'm on 103 Jams, 6:00. You can check us out on the iHeartRadio app. Also, I DJ everywhere. So if you see me out here, you'll probably see me somewhere. Let's see what else I got. Anything I got working on? I'm not really working on anything like specific. But I am getting more. Hopefully, as everything opens up, because like we've been on kind of a restriction at the radio station. Hopefully, I can start getting some of these artists to come in there instead of doing Zoom. Because I hate doing Zoom interviews with artists, because it's like they be doing like a whole bunch of other stuff instead of in the studio and stuff. Like, yeah, I hate it. And then like they'd be like young kids, they'd be like 18, like young artists. You know what I'm saying? That's on the come up, so they don't know.
They distracted.
Yeah, they be doing other things and stuff like that, which is cool. But it's fun to pick their brain and actually, give them a different interview instead of the same question. So what are you working on? So who would you want to work with and all that stuff? Like you kind of got to get, like, the younger they get, you work with kids, like you got to get their attention, man, because
their attention span is like, you got to grab them while you got them, and then
and that's exactly how these artists are. They're like 20 and 21, don't have the business mind yet, and I kind of pick their brain with little stuff that I kind of peep on their Instagram and stuff. Like, you kind of can tell how somebody is on their Instagram, especially artists. And then I kind of go around that and then sneak in with the regular questions and stuff like that. But they're very interesting. But I'm just really looking forward to doing more interviews and working on more interviews and more content. That's it. You know what I mean?
So what's your top 3 favorite songs out right now?
Top 3 songs out right now, I would say I like Hours and Hours with Me Alone. Hours. That's just hard. I like Tim's Free Mind. That's my joint. And rap wise, I don't know, really got one for rap. I guess Kodak Black, Super Gremlin. Just say that. Super Gremlin.
I only heard of one of those songs that you mentioned.
I'm pretty sure you heard of it, but you don't know the name of it.
Probably. I don't know. I don't even listen to the radio like that. Yeah. Okay. Well, it was nice to have you. Is there anything else you want to share about what we talked about today? critical race theory?
Nothing really. I mean, I appreciate you having me. I love your topics. Keep doing your thing. Keep inviting people on your podcast. That's what makes the best podcast. Just keep inviting. Keep getting.
I'd be tired of talking to myself.
Yeah, you got to get people in here. I mean, they'll come. You just ask them. You got to reach out. That's it.
Yeah, I appreciate you reaching out to me. You know, I was shocked. I was like, "What? DJ DC want to talk to me? Oprah? No, you know, want to have a conversation on my podcast? Like, what?" So I was excited to have you up here. I mean, like I said, we always kind of around
each other.
Yeah, but we don't never have a conversation. So it's cool. I'm glad to have you on the show. You guys make sure you follow him on Instagram at DJDC, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you on Facebook?
I'm Twitter? On Facebook. Everything. You can find me on Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, everything DJ DC 757. Instagram and Facebook is just DJ DC.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for being on the show. I'm talking like I'm on your show. Thank you for being on my show. And I hope to talk to you again soon.
You too, man. Thank you for having me.
All right. Take it out, baby. Feed that baby. It's Sunday. Feed us some chicken or something. Collard greens, jams, mashed potatoes.
I will.
All right. Talk to you later.
Good job.
All right, guys. So we had DJ DC on this show today, and I honestly, y'all, I was kind of nervous. I didn't even know what else to say. I was like, okay, let's wrap this up because it's getting kind of awkward now. So I just wanted to elaborate on some of the other things that I was talking about originally, which is the power of the mind, and also, you know, generational curses. Because we talked a little bit about generational curses with DJ DC, as y'all saw. But it's interesting that we had a conversation with him because, you know, I grew up a certain type of way. You know, I grew up very structured lifestyle, you know, and I'm sure he did too. He was in the military. His father was in the military, but you know, I was disciplined in an institutional way, and so it trained me to think a certain type of way. And it had an effect on my mindset, something I said before. And so the power of your mind and changing your mind about what you see and creating in your mind what you want to see in reality, right? So when I was growing up, I had this mindset that it was a very watered down mindset. It was very institutionalized. I was very religious, for one. I talked a lot about we was in church 3-4 days a week, and we had so much going on, right? And so as I became an adult, I became very religious. I became very judgmental, very dogmatic, very legalistic, and didn't really understand the effect that it had on my relationships. I also can think about, you know, how far I came, the growth that I came, and when I decided. A lot of times, what changes your mindset is the experiences that you have in this life, right? I've had so many different experiences in my life that kind of challenged my values and my belief systems and made me change my mindset or my mind about a lot of the things. And so, to give you an example, you know, like I told DJ DC, like I had an idea about white people when I was growing up. I had the idea that white people was evil, they was mean, they was da-da-da. But as I began to educate myself and realize that not all white people are mean, not all white people are evil. You know what I'm saying? It's just certain cases that it's the history of what they were also taught. You know what I'm saying? We talk about generational curses. White people have the same curses. White people, I don't want to call them white people. I mean, they're white, but it just kind of sounds like dogmatic. But they was taught a certain type of thing in their life, right? They was taught racism. They was taught to treat people of color a certain type of way. That is what they was taught. It was innate in them at a very young age. And as they become adults, and they teach their kids, and their kids teach their kids. And that's how we continue to see. So that's why we see a whole lot of different prejudice in this world, because if what they judge people off of what they hear and not get to know people for themselves. So um just like African Americans, Black people have generational curses, white people do too. And I think to give people grace and understanding and expose them, like one of the things that I experienced at my job is that not all white people are bad, not all Filipino people are bad, but it's what they was taught and what they heard that made them have that idea of who I was. You know, I'm a very strong minded woman. I'm very opinionated, and I have a way of thinking and how I want to see things to be done. And that's just how I grew up, right? Just the way I was growing up and taught certain things, the way they were growing up and taught certain things. I was, so just to think about how we can better integrate ourselves as a community, right? Because when we talking about generational curses, for one thing, as we have been traumatized and the things that we see, whether good or bad, it affects our children. And we have to decide what type of life that we want to live for our kids, for our kids. You know, I'm blessed to know that my grandmother made a lot of sacrifices for me, my great grandmother. My great grandmother made a lot of sacrifices for me. A lot of people in my family made a lot of sacrifices for me, particularly. You know, I had a cousin who took me in at a very young age. She did not have to take me in. If she did not take me in, I'll probably be in foster care right now, right? Well, not right now, but I'll probably grew up in foster care. So that was a sacrifice that my cousin made on my behalf, right? My grandmother took my mother in, allowed my mother to live with her, to try to get on her feet as much as she could. My mom was an addict. She was raped. She was abused. I mean, my mom had so many traumatic things that happened to her, and um, and she it's a blessing and a curse, you know what I'm saying? Because my grandmother chose to marry a man who wasn't probably the best man she should have married, right? A lot of times, a woman in my family choose the first guy that shows them any attention, goes with that guy, marry that guy, have kids with that guy, and that guy is probably not the best guy to have kids with. You know what I'm saying? And then you have kids, and so those traumas that your husband may deal with is now on to now following that bloodline. And plus, my grandmother trauma, my granddad's trauma, all that trauma came to my mom. My mom didn't really have the strength to really deal with the trauma, so it came down to me and my sisters right now, and my nieces and my nephews. And it was important for me to recognize that a lot of people don't even recognize the trauma that they have, because they live in this aloof of thinking that um, they're not affected by anything, um, and that this world is material, right? And so we live in a world, some of us, where we don't really understand why we go through the things that we go through, why so many things are happening that we don't understand. It's because of trauma, during generational trauma, things that just innately is what happened because of you didn't, either you wasn't exposed to it before, or you didn't recognize it. And so one of the things, like I told DJGC, is that one of the traumas, like choosing the right man for my um my family. When I start having kids and I start raising my children, I want to have the right man in my life so that my kids will not have to deal with some of the things that I dealt with from the choices that my parents made, right? And DJDC, I'm just going to speak a little bit about it's a blessing to have two parents who love each other, who make good choices for themselves and their children. DJ DC is doing awesome, and he is thriving out here because of the choices that his parents made while they were young. You know what I'm saying? And that is a blessing. And I think just to innately see, the difference. I'm not saying that my life is not good, right? I have a good life. God has blessed me to have a good life. But I understand some of the things that my parents did not deal with, I have to deal with. You know what I'm saying? My parents were addicts. They numbed themselves with drugs, alcohol. Um, I mean, even now, like a lot of my family smoke weed and do things, and I even have smoked weed. And it's just like, how can we overcome these responses that we have to create a better life? And I've always had a balance. It's always been like a great balance of making better choices and making horrible choices. It's like it just balances out for some reason. And I know that I've given up the fact of trying to be the one to break all these curses, because I feel that it's a very heavy load to carry when you are choosing to break all these curses, right? And I do realize that I don't want my kids to have to deal with any of the things that I refuse to deal with, that I refuse to, you know what I'm saying, face out of fear. And so that's why we talk about the power of the mind, overcoming fear. When you think about what the negative things, thoughts that you have is what will manifest. Okay. When you change your mind and think about positive things, when you change your mind and think about the life that you want, the life that you can have, when you have the faith, one of the things that have gotten me in this life that I live right now, where I'm at, is the faith that I was taught. And that's another curse, I think. We talk about generational curses, but we don't talk about the good and the bad, right? Me being raised in a way where that it was religious may have been a curse, but it was a blessing and a curse because it has transformed me to think a certain type of way. It has built me, it has allowed me to have faith, right? Some people build their life off of work. Some people build their life off of faith. And that's okay. However you build your life and you have created your life is what will become. I build my life off faith, right? But faith without works is dead, right? So I believe that first I put my faith in something, then I work towards it. I'm not the type of person to work and then have faith. You know, some people work and then hoping that it comes out, work out, and then it doesn't always work out. I'm a firm believer in having faith. And when I have faith first, it's me first consulting God about what it is that I need to be doing, my purpose, my passions, my gifts, my talents. And then working towards those things to create the life that I want, you know. And that's how I live my life. Now, I'm not out here living a big, lavish life. I'm 28 years old. I feel that I'm living the life that my mom should have lived. And if my mom would have made the choices, the better choices to try more harder, face her fears, and my dad, I probably would have been much further in life. But I don't blame my parents for my life because I live a good life compared to my mother, the way she grew up. So I don't compare myself to anyone and where they're at in their life, because like we heard DJDC, like we all grew up different. We all had different parents. You know, some of us are blessed with good parents who thrive and try and was consistent and intentional with making good choices, and may not been perfect but was intentional. And then we have some parents who tried but didn't try hard enough, or was traumatized in their own way, dealing with their own things, that they didn't have the courage to face their fears and overcome, right? And I don't blame my parents for the trauma that I deal with, right? Because I have sympathy and empathy for them, because I realize that it's not easy. Living in this world is not easy, especially being a Black woman, a Black man. It's not easy. And to give them that empathy and understanding, and knowing that you did the best that you can. Now it's my turn to do the best that I can. And looking at knowing my history and looking at my parents and the choices that they made, and how I can counteract those choices that they made, so that my children, the kids that come out of me, will have a firm foundation on making better choices, because they can then look at my life and look at the things that I didn't do, and how they can do better. And so we always hear our parents say, don't be like me, but be better than me. And that's why I want my kids to be better than me. And so that's why I make choices now. And I haven't always made the best choices, but I learned lessons in life. And sometimes learning hard lessons kind of delay a lot of the things that you want in life. But it's okay to learn those lessons, because if you learn those lessons and you live your life to make better choices, then you don't have to worry about your kids living a certain type of way, because you have learned that lesson and now you're living your life in a way that does not reflect those choices, those horrible choices that you make. And so your kids don't have to, especially if you don't have any kids. Like, I don't have any kids, so my kids will never have to worry about the bad choices that I've made, because they're not here yet. And so when I do have children, it will be set on a firm foundation, because I'll be then making a better choices. I'll be a better woman, doing better things. And so that is the mindset that I have. And that is the power of the mind that I set. That's the power of my own mind of saying, okay, well, I don't have to continue to live this way, do this, do it that way. I can trust in myself, to believe in myself, to trust in God enough to understand that I can create the life that I want first if I change my mindset. First, if I use the power that I have in my own thinking to create the life that I want. And that's challenging, because some of us deal with depression and all these things. Mental illness is a big thing. And my family deals with a lot of mental illness. And I just been, I think about that as well. And I give myself grace, because I think, like, when I'm having a bad day or whatever, I'm feeling down, I can say, you know what? I am blessed, right? I am living a life that my mom didn't live. That's a blessing. And I can be grateful. And the more that you're grateful, the more that you can change your mind, and the more power you have in what you're thinking will manifest. And I don't know if I'm really explaining this correctly, but when I think about when you think about negative things, that's what's going to happen. When you think about positive things, that's what's going to happen. I am a balance of both. Sometimes I'm negative, sometimes I'm positive. I can be too positive sometimes, where I'm just naive, aloof, and gullible. Okay. And at 28 years old, I am learning that not everybody has good intentions for you, and that I can be who I want to be. I don't have to think like everybody else. I don't have to do what everybody else is doing. I can change my mind. And I feel like I'm going through a transformation in my life right now, where I'm changing my mind. And I have manifested some interesting things in my life. And I try not to use the word manifestation, because people take that out of context. When I say manifestation, some of us are manifesting life that's not ours, right? I'm manifesting a life that God is envisioning in me to have, right? God has told me that I can have. God has told me things about myself. And I say God, but the God in me, who I see myself as, what has been exposed to me, what has been taught to me, how my life has played out. Just the mysteries, the miracles I've seen in my own life, and how those things all accumulate to the visions that I have today. And and understanding, like my grandmother, like I was telling DJ DC, like, I'm the only Black woman at my job. My grandmother was the only Black woman at her job. And you see how that's like a generational curse. Like, my grandmother overcame though, and she was very successful. My grandmother on my dad's side she was in the Air Force. She worked for the government. She the one who had the pool in the backyard. She had a 2-story house. She was living a luxury house. She had, these are material things, but it just shows that you can have good curses and bad curses. All because my grandmother was the only Black woman in her job a lot of the cases. That's history. My grandmother made history. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's in the textbooks or not, she made history. And I have that same ability to make history. Me being the only Black woman at my job, that is history, right? Because I'm the first. And I won't be the last, because you know why? Because I'm making changes now where I'm at, so that there is a possibility for another Black woman to come into the same position way after I leave. And then in that case, then people will be able to be socialized in the aspect of knowing how to behave or be around Black people, because not all Black people are the same. Just like not all white people, not all Filipinos, not all people are the same. We all are individuals. We all have our own mind, our own way of thinking. And that when we trust in that and we see that, then we will have a better understanding on just what we want, right? And what we want to see. So not all curses is bad, right? You gotta take the good with the bad. What else do I want to share with you guys? We talked about the mindset. We talked about generational curses, and generational curses and mindset and the power of the mind goes hand in hand, because there's a medium we have to come to recognize and understand generational curses and how that affects our mindset, and how we could change our mind, and how once we change our mind, whether good or bad, that is the power we have to see the manifestations of the reality that we see, right? And I'm a firm believer of that. Now, some of us didn't have the best upbringings, right? Some of you may look at my life and say, girl, whatever, like you living a decent life, you don't have no kids. I always hear that one. You don't have no kids, or whatever excuse people make why I may have lived the life that I have, right? It really doesn't matter, because we shouldn't compare our life, but what we should do is just have an understanding on why we live, why our lives look the way that we do, and how we can change them by our mindsets. And changing our mind, and the power in changing our mind is beautiful, right? You can look at your parents and say, I don't want that life for me. I don't want to live like that. So I'm going to change my mind and make better choices, right? And that's how you create better generational wealth, and not just monetary wealth. Comes spiritually as well, right? I feel like God has poured himself on me a lot. He has poured so much spiritual wisdom in my life that I can't even sometimes fathom, or sometimes even just speak on, because it's just, there's no words to describe, right? People think that, I mean, I have education, right? But people because the way that I talk, people automatically assume that I am not intelligent, right? People think that, oh, she's ghetto, or she's a bit hood. I mean, you can hear the hood in my voice. You can hear, that I'm not a proper speaker, right? I talk from the soul, right? From who I am. I don't try to create a voice, personality. This is the way I talk. And there's things that could change, but I just begin off track. But thank you guys for tuning in, all right, to my podcast today. I really appreciate DJ DC coming on, talking to me about generational curses, talking about the mindset, talking about, the CRT, critical race theory that we see in Virginia, that they're banned. Let's take accountability, and just as parents, as mothers, as women, I like to talk to the women, because we are the first teachers. We are the ones who teach our children from a very young age what they should think, how they should be. We do that. The woman does, right? Majority. And we as women need to get back to our original roles of being the teachers. Because it's important that our kids know their history. It's important that we can show them our history. We can't depend on the teachers to do everything. I'm a teacher myself. And when you have a class full of 26 students, some white, some black, you have to be very careful to certain conversations that's been held in the classroom, because every child have different backgrounds. They've been taught different things at home that may not always align with what you're teaching in class. So to put all that responsibility on the teacher, I think that is not fair. But I do feel that it's important to teach real history. I think it's important to express the inequalities in social, economic, and political realms, because to pretend that there's not a problem is a problem. We don't have to necessarily teach it all the time, but what we can do is expose children to understand that these are the patterns that we see, and how as these kids coming up can change that pattern, can make better choices, right? Because a theory is only something that's been tested. There's a hypothesis that's been tested, and now we're trying to prove that, right? And so what the school system is trying to do is not trying to prove that this is a problem when it's really a problem. But the kids is not going to know it's a problem until you teach them that it's a problem. And so now it's a problem. What are the solutions? How can these little human beings create solutions to the problems that we see today? Because ultimately the children are the future. I mean, we hear that, that's a saying that we hear all the time. The children are the future. So we need the truth in these school systems and these educational institutions, and we need better ways to expose kids to the truth, whether white, black, Indian, blue, green, yellow, orange. They need to know the truth. And so it's up to them to then make the choices to make better decisions, so that their kids and their kids does not have to deal with what we have to deal with today. And the only way that they're going to know that is through education. Yeah, I get what I'm saying. So I don't think critical race theory should necessarily be banned, but I think there should be a reform in history and what they teach. And I don't even think they even teach history in school, because when I teach, they don't even talk about that. Like, history is not even like really sometimes on the curriculum. You know what I'm saying? It's like a 25-minute segment out of the whole 8 hours. So as women, let's just take more responsibility in teaching our kids their history. Let's be more responsible in showing them the truth. And let's get back to homeschooling. You know what I'm saying? I know we need to work and stuff. And that's why it's, I can go on a rabbit hole about why it's important to wait to have kids till you're married, so that you can have that support. But I know that's not everybody's situation. So I'm gonna be very brief with that statement. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this podcast. Please like, subscribe, share. And I look forward to speaking to you guys soon. Deuces. Bye. I've been walking with my face turned to the sun. Weight on my shoulders, a bullet in my gun. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head.